Come on over to my basement, Liza.
Come over to my basement. I'll show you some nerd
Nothing
stuff.
creepy about that at all.
Nothing weird about
Come
that at
see
all.
my basement.
I've got lots of computers.
Hey, curlers, welcome to Curling Nation Season 2, Episode 2. Eureka! We struck dedicated ice. Today we talk with Liza from the SoCal Curling Center about their new building, new format, new organizational structure.
All those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you really think, though, that they want to call it SoCal? Or is that like somebody saying San Fran as opposed to San Francisco? Should it just be Southern California? Currently, like, are you supposed to abbreviate it like that?
Well, I just did, so it's happening now. So
You did,
yeah.
but like they
Can't-
might
no
all
Can't go
No
back
take
now.
back.
they might all
Yeah.
be mad at you now.
Yeah, well,
You might have ruined the show, like with the introduction.
yeah.
Good job, Joel.
Way
Whatever.
to go, Joel. Thanks, buddy.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
See you all next week when we don't offend you.
Yeah. Yeah, next time we'll offend another part of the state, so
Sure.
why not?
Let's just do a whole Wisco show.
Yeah, that would offend me.
Me too.
Or Scotty.
Scotty.
Yeah, that
Scotty
also
show.
offends me.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm from Wisconsin.
Yeah.
So,
Same.
all right, sorry, go on.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine.
What are we going
else?
to talk about today, Joel, besides
well,
Southern
Liza's
California,
on.
or
Yeah,
SoCal, as you like to call it?
SoCal. Yeah, Liza's coming up in the show. Mixed doubles curling trials are going on right now in Evelyn.
Mm-hmm.
And congratulations to Chris Plies, Vicky Persinger, who just won the trials. They're going to represent U.S. They're going to represent the U.S. in Beijing. So I'm going to go, like we're taping this before,
You're gonna put
and
that
then
in post.
I'm going to put that in post on who won.
Great.
Yeah,
Because we give our picks in the show.
really proud
So-
of you.
Hamilton.
Okay,
I'm going to edit you in a different name.
great.
That'd be great. I just did a thumbs up for the people that are just listening. Not everybody
yeah.
watches the show sometimes.
So the winner of that goes to the pre-trials in
Mm-hmm.
The
Europe.
Olympic qualifying
the Olympic
event
qualifier
yes.
event.
in
Where is that?
Netherlands.
Netherlands? Yep.
Yeah. Well,
They have going
a
on?
little.
Okay.
Team Van Dorp. It's from.
Team Van Dorp.
It's like one of my favorite names in curling right now. Jaap Van Dorp. It's a good name. Anyway,
Okay.
No, U15, but you know, it's
No.
a good name.
no, it's not U15.
No.
Yeah. All right. So hopefully, I will put my support behind our representative, whoever it may be.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Get us into the Olympics.
Go team.
Please.
World wheelchair team is doing well. They're sitting at 5-2.
Mm-hmm.
By the time this comes out, it'll probably be over, but good luck to them the rest of the way.
Yeah. Canadian pre-trials are going on. That's to get to their national championship.
Olympic qualifiers.
Olympic qualifier.
That will also be done by the time this ends.
Yeah.
So congratulations to team
Man, team.
Oh, and team.
and
men's side
team.
and women's side.
Yeah, I think 2 men and 2 women will be advancing.
That's
Is
it.
it 2 teams?
I think so.
I don't remember.
I
remember
I haven't
Jan
followed
Mo
too
came
far.
out of the last one and made it all the way to final. Lost.
That was 2
That was
times
exciting.
ago.
Was that 2 times ago?
Yeah.
What do I know? Only on Curling podcast.
I think it was 2 times ago. Yeah.
I don't remember. I thought last time was the first time.
No,
they
I
had
think
the
that-
pre-trials.
Well, also,
I think that-
qualification for getting into a curling podcast is pretty low. So,
Also
Super
true.
low.
yeah.
No, I think in 2014,
Oh,
it was Jacobs and Morris who came out of the pre-trials, and they were the 2 teams in the finals of the Canadian Olympic trials. If I remember correctly.
I don't remember.
Okay.
Mhm.
Next, we
Yep.
will also talk about the Halloween Spiel in Madison just happened last week, and Mike
Let's talk about.
Mike lost the first event final.
First event final.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't skipping. I was playing second.
I'm sure it was still your fault. Who
Well,
Did you play
Probably
against?
a pretty good chance. Jeff Goodland of Eau Claire.
Stacked team. Was it a senior loaded
Yeah,
up?
mostly the
senior
senior team.
And,
it's 3 out of the 4 of them.
Fun fact: I lost to him on the quarterfinal
Yeah,
first
so
event because they weren't drinking, which is not
I
fair.
bet they had
For
less
Halloween-
fun than I did in the
Yeah.
Halloween Spiel.
I'm positive.
Yeah,
I'm positive they had less
it
fun
was,
than you.
Jeff Goodland, he threw lead rocks and skipped. Dan Wiesa threw skip rocks, and Pete Westerberg threw second rocks.
I
and
think
Chris
it's just
McMahon-
Westberg.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't think it's Westerberg. It's just Westberg.
Plattsburgh.
Westberg. Sorry,
No problem.
so I thought it was.
I think there's an E
West-
in between. I think it's Westberg, but I think it just
It's
pronounced
just Westberg.
Westberg.
I always thought it was Westberg,
I don't think so.
No.
not for Westberg.
Okay. I don't
Sorry,
think. I don't
that's
know.
My bad. That's
Yeah.
my bad.
That's a good question. And who else was on the team?
Chris McMahon
Chris McMahon from Eau Claire.
from Eau Claire.
Was he wearing a kilt?
Sure was.
Sure was.
Yep.
You know what that guy does, or at least he used to do
He's
for a
retired
living?
now. I knew that.
You know what he used to do?
No. What he used to do.
He used to inspect bridges for
Mhm.
the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Like maybe he worked for a private company, but he was contracted out.
Yeah.
So he would dive, like scuba gear,
Nice.
and dive into like rivers and look
Yeah,
at the
and look at the pylons.
underground
footings?
underwater pilings and things like that.
Cool.
I rode to a Bonspiel sometime a million years ago with him,
It's
and
fascinating.
he was explaining that to me. That was interesting.
That's pretty cool. He seemed like a good
Mhm.
dude. That was the first time I met him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we finished second place in the A.
Congratulations on a solid weekend.
I did.
Maybe
have-
if you wouldn't have drank so much on Saturday night, you would have had a better chance of.
we're gonna
that
talk
is-
about the night where I overserved myself. It was definitely Friday night.
Oh,
That
okay.
is false because we won the Spiel 2 years ago doing that same thing. So.
Yeah, no, that happens sometimes.
We had a good time.
Great. What'd you dress up as?
I had 2 costumes.
Wiener.
I dressed as Magnum PI for a little bit. I even had the mustache to go with it. Thought it was pretty good. Chopped it off yesterday. And then also a wiener, like Joel said. We curled with Laura Wrestler out of Centerville, and she runs Elmara Winery. And for April Fools this year, they made a joke and like, oh, we ran out of grapes, so we had to pivot our business, and they changed it to Elmara Wienery.
Okay.
And I posted on the Facebook post, I'm like, I would buy an Elmara Wienery shirt because I thought it was humorous.
Sure.
Mhm.
And then somebody else commented like, Halloween costume? ? And so Halloween costume.
All right.
Yeah.
Where'd you get the hats?
I had that hat in my dress up bin. If I would have known, I would have worn it today. It's a big wiener.
You
Shook my head
had
a lot. My wiener bobbled around, and I yelled, "Who wants a foot long?" over the course over the course of the evening. Yeah.
Who wants a foot long?
What'd
Talk to that guy.
what'd you dress up as, Joel?
Our team was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
I was Drunkatello.
Drunkatello?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had Malortolangelo,
Okay.
Lushinardo,
I like the
And
names.
I do too.
and I don't know what the
I don't know what
What's the
Raphael
other-
was.
don't know what
Raphael.
Raphael was. I don't know what that one was.
You should have just gone with like
Because I
drunk
was-
names and then been like,
I was Drunkatello.
and
so-
Steve.
Phil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Phil.
Yeah. Good. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It was good.
Good time was had by all. There was what, like 43 teams, I
40,
believe.
yep,
Yep,
43
43
teams.
teams.
Correct.
My wife subbed a couple games.
I saw her there. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's good.
She seemed to have a good time. She said you know that it's a good time when somebody laughs so hard that they start crying. And that happened the first night that she was down there. She said it was great.
Yeah. It was. We had to curl. We curled. I shouldn't say had to. We got to curl Thursday, and I stayed down there too late. But it was just like it was nice to be back in the curling club, like sitting around, just shooting the breeze with people after
was
a
nice.
curling game.
Yeah, it was nice to have a sense of normalcy again.
Yeah, it was
around
great.
the club.
I liked it.
One last thing. Tracy Fleury won the Grand Slam Masters.
Yeah.
And Bruce Moat won another slam.
I think that's
three in a row.
Three in a row
Three in a
now.
row?
Yeah.
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 It's
They're going to be hard to
unstoppable.
beat come February. I believe they were named
They were named
the
the Olympic
UK
team.
representative.
Yeah.
Maybe they are using up all of their wins now,
Hmm.
and they won't have any left at the Olympics.
That's true. That was a path the U.S. took last year for men's anyway. They didn't win any slams going into it, and they won the Olympics. So.
Right.
There you go.
Exactly. That's
Uh-huh.
a good point. We've never won any slams in the U.S.
I don't know if you've ever
And-
have you been to a final. Well, the women I think have been to a final here and there, but
Yes.
I don't think the men have been to a final.
You know, Jamie Sinclair
Yeah,
might have
didn't she
won
win
a slam,
slam?
but we
She
haven't
won a
won a
cash
medal
medal.
for the.
Was that
We
a-
haven't won a gold medal at the Olympics for women, and
Yeah,
we
no.
did for men.
That's awesome.
And I know that Schuster's never won a slam or any other American team.
Mm-hmm.
So Mowat,
I don't know how you pronounce it.
I think it's Mowat.
I think that's why.
Well, now
Mowat is got no chance.
Well, now he just moved like the 50-1 odds for getting a gold medal. Then
Yeah, you want to know
got
something
10.
else
I
about
got
him?
5 on it.
I'm undefeated against him.
Are you?
I am 1-0.
1-0?
I did play him.
I am also undefeated against him too.
Are you 0-0?
Correct.
I played against him,
Yeah, I'm
which
50-50
may have
against him
been
then, 'cause I'm
may have
0-0
been
as
his
well.
very first trip to Canada and
Yeah.
his very first game out of juniors.
Yeah.
Um,
Just whooped
but
him.
he was the reigning world junior champion.
Junior champ.
I believe it was that
Yeah.
year. Maybe it was
Mhm.
1 year later, but yeah, I beat him.
I think
pretty
he's
bad.
I think he's going to be the mixed doubles.
I
too.
also beat him in Oakville, where he's won 30 of his last 31 games.
Yeah. Wow.
But he had a slightly different team.
I did beat.
So wait, hold
And that was
on.
like 6 years
so
ago.
30 out
so.
of the last 31. Are you the one that he hasn't won?
No, I looked
Oh,
that up.
I was gonna say that would be a fun.
No,
that would be a fun.
That
trivia.
would be a fun trivia fact. But no, that was the year before he formed this current
the current team. Got it.
so I played with him with what I think was his full junior team, which has I think one of the guys that's with him currently. I think his third was with him, but the front end is different.
Got it.
I do have a lifetime winning record against Nicholas Edin.
Nice.
Oh, there you go.
Want
Nice.
to know?
Want to know? I have
I
a
skipped against
1-game
him, too.
winning streak
Yeah.
against Nicholas Edin, but
Mhm.
I do not have a lifetime winning record against.
I have a lifetime
Nicholas
winning
Edin.
record because I'm never going to see him on the ice ever again.
Ever again. Maybe you'll see him at a charity spiel, but you have to duck him.
That's where I beat him.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
All right.
All right. Well, I think that's it for updates.
Yeah.
And coming up, we got Liza.
All right. We are joined today by, I don't know, one of the founding members, I guess, of the
That's
Hollywood
correct.
Curling Club or SoCal Curling Club or whatever it is. More importantly, she was my teammate at House of Hearts when we got to curl with Pat Simmons. She's been here to Madison to the Halloween Spiel. Liza Beres joining us on the dais today, joining us on the show. Liza, thanks for
Thanks
coming
for
on.
having me, you guys.
Yeah.
Thank
yeah.
you for having
Yeah.
me. It's,
Hey,
it's
Liza.
great to be here.
Awesome.
Hi.
How are you?
Doing good.
Great.
Doing good. Fall
Great.
has officially arrived in California, which means like 65 and the occasional like spit of rain, and that's about it. It's lovely.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask what the weather's like out
So
there.
you didn't get that big storm that was up farther up the coast just the other
The
day?
big storm that they told us was going to be really bad, and we got maybe 6 hours of spitting rain, and then it was gorgeous. So no, Southern California did not get drenched the way the rest of the West Coast did.
So can you back up a little bit to what Mike was saying for the introduction and your kind of role in curling in California and like where
Yeah.
it started and which clubs and which ones are going now and everything else?
Sure, I'll try to get this right. Curling has been around in California a lot longer than people think. The Los Angeles Curling Club was around from the 60s until the late 90s, I believe.
Wow.
And
60s?
that was certainly before my time here in the US. San Francisco Bay Area Curling Club has been around for a similar time frame, and they are obviously dear friends of ours, being, just 5 hours away from us. They're working on trying to get their dedicated ice in time for the Olympics. But in 2007, a bunch of people that we know started the Hollywood Curling Club. And I think that sort of started this generation of curling as we know it in Southern California, which kind of got the ball rolling. Orange County Curling was an offshoot of that a couple years later. Some members that were tired of driving all the way up from Orange County to curl in Hollywood then started that club. So that club started in December of 2007, and I found Hollywood Curling somewhere in mid 2008. And I was, involved. I was helping. I was basically a volunteer for a couple of years. I believe it was 2012 that I took over as vice president of Hollywood Curling, and then was the president for 3 years before, in 2018, I left Hollywood Curling to start this offshoot and co-founded the Southern California Curling Center, and for a variety of different reasons decided to, kind of do that parallel to what Hollywood Curling was doing. And so we are the proud home of Hollywood Curling. So Hollywood Curling still exists. We run the facility and the day-to-day operations of everything, and the bulk of the programming. Hollywood Curling fosters the spirit of curling. They organize and manage a lot of the leagues. They'll host several Bonspiels a year. And so we really work in partnership with each other. But we kind of wanted to make sure that the complexity of a big facility like this was not in the hands of a volunteer-run organization where the board changeover every year. You never know who you're going to get in charge of that. And so, so I co-founded it with Matt Gamboa and Peter Dome, and we've been going gangbusters for the last little while, just getting everything open and started.
Nice.
So the SoCal Curling Center is
Yes.
a for-profit or a nonprofit or
So
city run?
No, it is a for-profit, although let's face it, guys, nobody is getting rich doing any curling here. But
having run, one of many U.S. podcasts about curling, that is correct.
yeah, nobody is making any money at this. We exist to make sure that curling can happen. And it would be great if one day we can prove everybody wrong and retire off of our deep curling pockets, but it's probably not happening anytime soon.
Yeah, Craig, how's that going?
I'm probably as close to making a decent living off of curling as anybody with the store,
in the country,
and I am also not anywhere close to what anyone would consider rich.
Got it.
No.
Or deep pocketed.
Okay.
So does the Southern California Curling Center, do they run any of, do they have members? Do they run any of the leagues, or does Orange County, or not? I mean, does Hollywood Curling do all of the league stuff and membership?
So we handle the bulk of the heavy lifting, from the scheduling, the registration, the back end of the website that handles all of the payments for everything. That's all our territory. We teach all of the learn to curls and private parties, and all of the revenue that gets generated towards that. Hollywood Curling really is there to really promote things. So they do a lot of junior programming. They have league managers who are volunteers that, they communicate with the league players every week, organize the draws, that kind of thing. And, they're there to really kind of create that atmosphere and that sort of friendly competition and keep people informed. But really the day-to-day business of running the facility, that, the exchanging of money, the signing of waivers, the, you know, paying insurance, all of those things really kind of fall under our umbrella as SCCC.
And
So-
the maintenance too. So they're paying you to rent it. And
No.
you gotta-
No, Hollywood Curling
No?
has no expenses anymore. They are our main. Everybody who curls there has to become a Hollywood Curling member, but Hollywood Curling is no longer paying anything for their ice time, and so it's a pretty sweet deal for Hollywood Curling.
So if I was to if I wanted to curl at your facility, I'm paying Southern California Curling Center, and I'm automatically become a member of Hollywood Curling, and I play in a Hollywood Curling league.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, basically you've nailed it right on the head. And you pay your $35 a year to Hollywood Curling and your, I don't know what it is, 20 something, 30 something to USA Curling to be members there. But the rest of the time, your league fees and your Spiel fees and whatever else you're spending your money on is going to the center. And that's what's covering the ice time.
Sure.
And so to go from an arena club where we used to have to pay per hour for the ice time, and you were paying that hourly rate regardless of how many people showed up to curling, there's no risk to Hollywood Curling right now. And so in the very early days, like right now, it's great if we only get 4 teams that sign up for a league. You know, that risk is on SCCC, not on Hollywood Curling. So they have a lot of freedom right now to come to us and say, hey, we want to try this, we want to try that. You know, we want to put together a league with this format at this time and see if it catches on. And you know, we have a bit of wiggle room to have gone from, well, pre-pandemic, we had 3 draws a week, typically, sometimes 4, to go from that to now 7 days a week. You know, the world's your oyster.
Right.
You know, we really get to play around right now, and we're working. The biggest thing is that we relocated to a completely different quadrant of the city. And anybody who's been to LA knows that it's a massive, massive city. And so we used to be way up in the north in Valencia, which is, you know, 40 minutes north of downtown LA. And now we are about 15 minutes south of downtown LA. So that's a really, really big demographic shift within the city. So it's been fun over the summer and the fall to start reaching out to the local community around us and really attracting a completely different population to the sport, many of whom don't even know that the sport exists, because it's not your typical California, you know, reminder, something you think of when you think of California.
How many draws do you have in a week right now, and how many people do you have kind of as regulars?
Right now we have, you're quizzing me here. 2, 3,
roughly
4, 7 draws a week at the moment.
We don't
Plus,
have a big...
we do learn to curls and private parties virtually every single weekend.
Great.
And then within that, last I checked, we had about 135 weekly curlers.
That's pretty good.
That's great.
You know, it's not a bad place to start. We're like 3 months in, and it's not a bad place to start, especially as we're looking ahead to the Olympics. You know, we're a massive facility. We have 6 sheets.
I was just going to
and
say.
a huge warm room. If you haven't seen the photos of our warm room, our warm room is insane.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I got some questions about the model. Like, who came up with this? SoCal owning it and Hollywood running it, and then
it's a complicated thing.
And SoCal is basically assuming all the risk of the facility itself. So, so I'm curious, who's backing you on that risk, or is it just the people that are running SoCal?
Yeah, so it came out of a couple of different things. Matt and I started actively working towards dedicated ice around 2013. We started to really sit down and talk about how would we do this. We started doing major fundraising as Hollywood Curling towards our dedicated ice fund to start to make that happen. We started traveling all over the country, looking at other curling clubs and curling centers to see what we thought we could do. And ultimately, we came up against simply the sheer cost of doing it in a city like Los Angeles, similar to New York, similar to similar to San Francisco. Frankly, the cost of real estate was abhorrent. I think from
That's a big word
2013.
for our show.
Can you just like take it down a little?
Yeah,
we're not that smart.
Abhorrent.
That was
I mean,
a big
like,
word.
that's we like
Sorry, guys. Sorry.
It's okay.
The cost was bananas.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
really high.
sorry, I forgot about my audience here.
That's okay. No,
Um,
you're all right.
We're like
No,
the USA
it
Today.
just
We
we
aim for
realized-
like a 4th grade reading level or 6th grade reading level.
Got it.
So, Okay.
Got
sorry.
it, got
Go
it.
ahead.
Stop giving you the benefit of the doubt. Is that
Yeah.
what you're
Except
saying?
we also throw in swear words sometimes. So,
Yeah, that's okay.
all right.
Anyways, yes. So speaking of, the cost was fucking ridiculous, and we decided that it was going to take a lot in order to do it. And we kept coming up against having a volunteer board that didn't have the deepest of pockets. It wasn't like we had an angel on our board that was willing to put $1 million up to make the project happen. And so in 2018, Matt and I were still actively pursuing this. We were in the middle of the Olympics. We were literally, I think it was the night that USA beat Canada and like suddenly looked like maybe they could make a run for the podium, that we sat down with Peter Dome, who is, sort of our lead on the project. And Peter sat down with us and said, I love what you guys are doing. I want to see a curling center built in LA. I'm from here originally. He curled when he lived in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan in college, and he really wanted to see it happen, and he had access to some funds and some investors, and he said, what if we did it this way? And we sat down, and over the course of about 2 years, we sat down and looked at, a year, we sort of broke it down. What would it look like if we did it this way? And if we did it this way and we invited Hollywood Curling to the table, what would the benefits be to them, to us, et cetera, et cetera? And wanting to preserve the charity, the 501c3, for the kind of outreach and the kind of development that they can do with wheelchair curling and junior curling, we felt was really, really important to maintain that. But to take the risk away, if we figured if we hadn't done that, there was no way that organization would have been able to take a step like this for another 10 years, probably, given the amount of fundraising that would have been needed to make it happen, and given sort of the state and the access to ice that we had here in LA. So it was really complicated. We looked at it from a lot of different angles and decided that this was the direction we were going to go. And it took over a year to negotiate it with Hollywood to make sure that we found something that both parties could live with.
Wow.
And you think having that consistency on who is running the facility really helped on the investor side, like keep them happy with the program?
Yeah, for sure. That and landlords. What we learned, and we looked at dozens upon dozens of properties, and what we learned was that, especially in Southern California, where most landlords had never heard of us, they were spooked. We looked at a lot of we negotiated on a lot of contracts that eventually fell through because landlords would go, oh, I don't know, it's too weird. It's too weird. Mm-hmm. We're going to go with this dead storage option. And so, yeah, just the process of being able to go through that was going to be really, really hard for a volunteer-run organization to kind of jump through the appropriate hoops to make it happen.
So there are going to be more curling clubs at this facility, or is it just going to be Hollywood?
Orange County, there's a provision in our contract that allows Orange County to do some programming with us. And we're trying to really embody our name as the Southern California Curling Center. And so reaching out to other SoCal communities like San Diego, and Bakersfield wants to get something started, and some other areas near us, and try to invite them into the fold. is definitely going to be a goal of ours going forward. But for right now, Hollywood Curling, that's they are our primary partner.
More the Scottish model of clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? That's where part of it came from, was that Matt lived in Glasgow and he curled at a center that was very much like this, where it was different clubs that, operated within a center. And we kind of took what we liked from that model and played around with how that might work.
I think that's super interesting because I haven't heard that in the U.S.
No, I think it'll be interesting, to see how it pans out, because I think there's a lot of places that are, the sport in general, I think, is a little bit on the cusp of expanding in a way that might be the only real option in a lot of cities, because you can't just start up a club from scratch with membership easily at all. But if you if it's more of this business model situation, and like Chaska's a little different because it was a city funded project, and Blaine is a little,
also city funded project.
I'm not sure if Blaine was city funded, or if that was mostly just that arena.
It's city building anyway.
But that was also like it had it had other components to it that it wasn't curling only. That was this huge outlay, and there's something that is missing from some of those facilities, but there's also like the benefit of, at least we're getting more people playing, more people out there enjoying the sport.
Also the Mark Bulger one down in Nashville.
Yeah,
that's a privately run or funded bar.
Yeah, it's like a bar slash bowling alley slash curling club
opening up. That'll be interesting to see how they kind of work.
So I think it's interesting, and I think I wish you guys the best of luck, and I hope that it works and it's a model that
So do we.
All of a sudden,
So do we.
All of a sudden, there's 30 of these, 40 of these, 100 of these across the country.
Yep. Fingers crossed. I mean, we're sort of going to be the proof of concept. Either it's going to work and it's going to go like gangbusters and people will want to copy the model, which I think would be great, or certainly no matter what happens, people are going to learn from our model and hopefully pick out what works really great about it and what they might change for their particular market. But for sure, it's a big risk, and I think the rewards are definitely worth it. We are counting on the Olympics. We are counting on that if you build it, they will come mentality. That's kind of been our motto for many, many years. And I know from sort of guiding Hollywood Curling through multiple Olympic cycles, we had so many inquiries and so many people trying to come and learn with us during the past couple of Olympic cycles. And that was before we won a gold medal. And it was overwhelming, and we just couldn't get enough ice time to satisfy all those people. So we're really excited about, what February could potentially do for us, and getting ourselves open, 6-7 months prior to the Olympics was a huge, huge goal. And, a global pandemic aside that tried to derail us, we managed to pull it off. And so, right now we're just sort of trying to plan ahead, trying to think about the winter and the spring really, really smart to make sure that we're well positioned to capitalize on that interest.
I know clubs like Frogtown, they do a lot of learn to curls and corporate events. That they have a hard time hosting bonspiels because they make so much from those events. So I can imagine that Hollywood's got a lot of big businesses around there they can draw from for those events.
I mean, we're getting a ton of inquiries already, some big, some small, and one of the first positions we decided that needed to be a paid position on our staff was hiring an event coordinator whose job it is to bring those events in, because obviously the goal is have the corporate folk pay your bills, and then evening curling for the plebes is a lot easier to stomach,
Yeah.
So what brought you to California in the first place, and when?
Oh, I moved to California in 2006. My husband had come up. I was living in Montreal. I was getting my degree in Montreal, and he had come up and proposed and begged me to move to California. He's in the film industry. And I hated LA as a tourist. I had been numerous times and I liked nothing about it. So I told him I would give him 2 years. And if I still hated it after 2 years.
Tourist, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's awful as a tourist. It's an awesome city to live in once you get to know it. But it is kind of a hellhole as a tourist, in my opinion.
Come to our
so I told him. Oh boy. Oh,
No,
I'm really selling
that's
it.
if you're trying to, go to the tourist sites. You're not. If you're coming to the Bond Spiel, you're coming to the Bond.
That's
I'm
right,
sure they'll
that's
put on
right.
a great Bond Spiel.
Let me just dig myself out of that hole
Yeah,
real
no,
quick.
that's fine.
But no, I didn't like it much as a tourist, and I didn't think I would like living here. But coming from Canada, my first winter in California was enough to convince me that maybe Californians have something figured out here, because winter in California does not suck. Yeah, exactly. So I've been here ever since. I became a U.S. citizen about 6 months ago. Not even 6 months ago. It's 5 months ago.
Congratulations.
So it was a long process.
Yeah,
But I think we've decided that we
Thanks, I
actually
think.
are here.
Congratulations, we think.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
You're still Canadian too. You can always just
I
abandon
exactly.
this American thing if
Right.
you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, where you said you were going to school in Montreal. Where are you from in Canada?
I'm originally from Calgary.
Okay.
And funny enough, I grew up like maybe 6 blocks away from the Glencoe, which is home to many really great Canadian curlers. And I never, ever once dreamed of trying the sport until I moved to LA. And some Canadian friends said, hey, they just started this curling club. We have to go check them out. And so I learned how to curl at Hollywood Curling.
That's funny. I would have assumed that you at least had some background if you were, like if you're
that would have been smart.
If you're that active in starting it, I would have thought you must have.
I would have thought like at least a PE class. We're gonna go. Over
no, if you're gonna pick an obscure sport to become your passion project in life, like maybe I could have learned it in phys ed when I was a kid, but no, I had to wait till I moved to California to find my passion.
Great idea. Great idea. Nice. Yeah. So. Tell us 6 sheets.
We have 6 sheets.
Sounds
yes.
like a bonkers club room.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah.
Can you how many spiels do you have planned so far?
Yeah.
Right now we have three full-size spiels on the horizon. In 2 weeks we have our first mixed doubles spiel. The first weekend of December we have Hollywood Curling is doing a holiday spiel. And then they are doing a New Year's Eve spiel. And all of those are on the website right now. And then we're looking ahead to the spring. We know for sure that we're going to be the host of the 5 and Under National Championships. We're going to be doing a 5 and Under prior to that to qualify folks from our own region for that, which we're really excited about. I think we're looking at another play down for something in our region as well. And then we'll probably have another fun spiel somewhere in there. That's the last one to sort of fit into the puzzle piece here. And then Hollywood Curling will bring back their summer blockbuster Bond spiel, which is the one that Hollywood is known for. And they're going to bring that back in the summer of 2022.
And that's usually 4th of July weekend. Is that right?
Typically, that's when it has always been. Yep.
I've heard good things about that one. I want to get out there to it.
Yeah, it was always a good time when we were on hockey ice. So now with real ice, it can only get better.
So are you planning on having year-round ice, like forever?
Yeah, I think that's the plan. We did build it in such a way that it's 2 bays of 3 sheets. And we use the international or the ISS system, which is really kind of cool. If people don't know anything about it, it's really neat, but it's pretty adaptable. And we built it in such a way that we can take down 3 sheets separately from the other side. So if we want to do maintenance, if we need to even just, we've been doing our floods and our maintenance throughout the year by just doing one bay at a time, and we can kind of keep curling on the other side. So it's possible that in the summers we'll reduce down to 50% capacity if the interest level drops a little bit, but we have the ability to kind of keep it going year round. And it's, I gotta say, when it's 100 degrees outside, the curling center is the best place in town to be.
I can imagine.
Yeah. All right. So you mentioned all those spiels. You're an experienced charity spieler at HOH and the Bumpy Cup.
I am. And the Bumpy Cup. Yep.
Yeah.
You and I went to Bumpy Cup together.
Any charity spiels out in LA?
Well, we're working on it.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Yep. I'd love to make that happen. It's interesting because the Hollywood curling one was sort of, it took on the feeling of a charity spiel for a number of years there. We would have our celebrity match every year. We would bring out, big name curlers who would come out and we would auction them off. People could buy them as a rent-a-ringer and put them on their team. We had all sorts of fun ways. And we were doing that to raise funds for dedicated ice. And now that we have dedicated ice, we have to find another reason to throw a charity spiel, I guess.
How close is the closest hotel?
About 12 minutes away, roughly. 12 minutes.
12 minutes? That's not bad.
That's not bad.
So by car in LA, that's either 4 miles or a block and a half?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Smart ass.
Hey, I'm an LA
Totally accurate.
tourist. I know what that means.
Totally accurate.
Is your husband also Canadian?
He is.
Did he curl?
He curled in PE when he was in high school, but we went to the same high school, so I don't know how I missed out on that. Apparently he took some other PE class that I didn't. I don't know.
He had the cool kids PE class.
Does he still curl? Does he curl now? Reluctantly?
He says that he wants to, but I don't know about you guys. Like trying to get him and me and my daughter doing the same thing on the same day has proven to be extremely difficult lately. So I'm hoping that as we sort of fall into a rhythm with SCCC that I can find a day that maybe he and I could maybe even curl at the same time as each other.
Whoa.
I mean, I don't want to get my hopes up too high,
That's
but like
pretty high.
Yeah.
If you figure out how to do that, let me know, and maybe I'll consider doing that with my wife. But I don't know. Right now, she plays like 3 times as much as I do.
Yeah,
so.
but your legs don't work anymore. Your knees don't work anymore.
Well, no, not really.
Not really.
That's what drugs are for. The legal kind.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, what? Like, have you been approached about doing like any commercials and stuff there because you are in the hotbed of commercial production?
We had the James Corden thing out there.
We had the James Corden thing out here a month back. They came out and they did a 14-hour day of shooting, and they flew Becca and Matt and John and one of the wheelchair curlers, and who else was there?
Chris was there. Plies was there.
Plies was there. Flew them all out to curl with James Corden. And if folks haven't seen it, it was the first film shoot that we did at the facility, and it acts as a really beautiful advertisement for us. It's brilliant. They show us off in our best light. It's quite lovely.
Good.
I got an inquiry just today, actually, about a national commercial spot. So to answer your question, yes, and I hope we get a lot more of them. We used to get a lot of inquiries when we were at Hollywood Curling and we were on hockey ice. Or come an Olympic year, we would get tons of these inquiries, and we would really struggle to get the ice time from the ice rinks and to make it happen. And usually they would end up, kind of disappointed having to downsize whatever it was they were hoping to shoot. And so, we're really trying to cater to as many of those as we can and generate a lot of revenue off of those.
So I do recall seeing someone showed me an adult film that was filmed at the old Hollywood.
Mm-hmm. I'm
facility.
familiar with this. I am aware that it
And
exists.
they went through
Were
they
you in
went,
it? Were you in it, Joel?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Okay.
I got some blackouts during that period of my life, but I don't think so.
Okay.
So from what I was told, they went through the rink and not the club to
Correct.
to use the stuff.
The story that I heard, so it was before my time at Hollywood Curling, I swear to God. The story that I heard about that was that the club itself, the directors of the club itself, didn't want to be directly associated with it.
Understandable.
But if some of their equipment got used for that and it happened on the ice rinks time, they maybe looked the other way. And so I think that's maybe how that one came to be. Yeah.
So
just wiped on the rocks.
Was some of this curling equipment like props?
I think it was like, if I recall, now I swear I have never seen this, but I have been told by many other people what it contains. I think it was more like, oh, I'm having trouble with my stone. Oh, here, I'll fix it for you. And like, they didn't actually curl.
From what I recall,
yeah, they're in the stands.
Seeing it once, like several years ago, they were in the bleachers, I think, for the most part.
Why don't you go upstairs and get your copy and we'll watch it now?
Oh, I got a whole library right here, actually.
Yeah, it's right here.
Can we clear that? Can we clear that to put it on the podcast? I don't know. It's probably fine if we
let's
like
stop
5 minutes.
talking.
We'll save that for the after dark curling podcast. Yeah.
Have you guys ever seen the music video for LMFAO? They have a curling one with Jamie Foxx in it.
Yep.
Yeah.
A bunch of our members at Hollywood Curling are actually in it as the opposing team. And yeah, that was one of our claim to fames. And it's the same rink that they did the porno at, and they don't even look like the same place. So a little budget goes a long way.
LMFAO had a bit more decoration, I think, going on around them than the low budget porn.
Yeah, exactly.
What does our podcast become?
Well, we're also a film show now.
We're also a film show now.
Yeah,
that's great. This is awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Perfect. That's awesome. So, I think great.
What else do you want to tell us about
dude, what else
California
do you want to tell
curling?
us
Oh man,
or your facility or anything.
I mean, we'll make sure
actually doesn't. We're not going to limit you to California.
We'll make sure to link
anything in the whole curling world. What do you want to talk about?
So
what do I want to talk about?
Yeah.
Have all of you started curling in your respective facilities yet for the season? I know Madison had some delays getting open. Are you guys there yet? Did it happen for you?
Halloween Spiel this weekend, Liza. It was
we
great.
had the Halloween Spiel this weekend.
I love the Halloween Spiel.
I may or may not have been there late every night.
I heard you drank too much.
At least
Mike?
one night.
No.
Yeah, at least one night.
My wife told me you drank too much one night.
Your wife.
That's because she
My
was,
wife.
That's because she was drinking too much.
Sounds really judgy all of a sudden.
Wow.
Like when.
No, she said you were having a great time.
I was.
So like
That's
it wasn't like it was too much.
That's accurate.
Too much. It
This
was
is
the
an
right
appropriate
amount to
amount.
have
This is an
to have a
appropriate
good
amount.
time. Okay.
Anyway. Yeah,
we just actually today is the very first day of league curling.
Yeah.
For
Oh,
our
fantastic.
season.
Well, I played in Poinet the last 2 months, so
That's a town
there's
about
ice
half
going-
an hour north of us.
Yeah. There's ice going in
I lived
all
in
over.
Milwaukee for a year, and I curled out of Wauwatosa.
Mhm.
This was before I came back and got more involved with Hollywood Curling, and
Tosa's a
and
fun club.
I came out to Madison a couple of times during that time, but I didn't know any of y'all yet.
Got it.
What year did you live in Milwaukee?
2011, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. My perception of time has been screwed up by the pandemic, but I think it was 10 years ago.
About that.
That's fine.
About that,
We
roughly
don't
that.
have a big budget, so we're not gonna fact check any of this. Honestly, you could tell us it was 20 years ago, and we'd probably be like, "Yeah, fine, whatever."
Mhm.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
So-
no
I love
problem.
Tosa. Like the club room in Tosa feels like a perfect curling club room, except you can't
Mhm.
see the ice.
So you can't see that.
Yeah,
But
accurate.
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Like, who cares? If you're in the club
Tosa
room,
had-
you're not really watching
Tosa
anyways.
was the nicest group of people. I came from California, and I was just so eager and excited to be able to curl on real ice, and they were so lovely, and they put up with my eager beaver attitude and put me on a bunch of teams, and it was great. It was a great experience. That year of curling, I think, is what made me come back to California and go, we have to build dedicated ice.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, ice is going in around here. We've got ice. I think it's going in kind of all over the country.
Yeah,
I
it
haven't-
sounds like it from what I can tell.
I haven't heard of any places that aren't opening.
No, not this year at least. which
Well,
is good.
Duluth, I heard,
Definitely.
had they had some issues
Yeah.
getting a
Their-
temporary chiller or
their
something.
compressor
and
blew.
That's it.
And they were able to find a spare, so they're gonna open like maybe a week or two late.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Who's got
Yeah.
just a spare compressor around for 8 sheets of curling ice?
they found one.
Don't worry about
I don't
it.
know.
Don't worry about it.
They found
Don't
a
ask
temporary.
any questions.
Yeah.
Specs is Italian. He probably made some calls.
They
Guy
found
came in for a
they
few
found a
legs.
temporary one to install, and then they'll figure it out next year, I guess. I don't
Sure.
know.
Okay.
Yeah,
But
it's all good.
They're having ice, so
2020 was the year I was going to go back to House of Hearts. I was all registered for it. I know,
we're still
right?
registered
And
as
I was
well,
going to be
so-
back, and then before they made the decision to cancel it, all the California peeps were like, "I'm not getting on a plane. I don't think I'm going to go."
No.
And
Yeah.
then they made the right call, I think, to
Mhm.
cancel it when they did.
Yeah.
Well, House of Hearts is not on their calendar yet, but I can assume it's going to be on there
If this
So-
temporary compressor holds up.
if the temporary compressor holds up. Hopefully, it does.
I think I can.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So who's going to win the mixed doubles trials that's happening starting today?
I don't know. That one was supposed to happen in Irvine, and we were all geared up
Mhm.
to go be assistant ice makers for that week. We acted as assistant ice makers for Curling Night in America
Mhm.
over the summer. Learned a ton. It was brilliant. And that event was supposed to happen in Irvine, and then because of COVID, they decided to move it to Eveleth. And I really don't know. I think it's anyone's game. Like, mixed doubles is so unpredictable. It can change so quickly that I hesitate to have a horse in that game too early in the week because it's hard to say.
That's a chicken shit answer.
Okay.
Just pick
That's
somebody.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to hold you to it. And
That's one of those things where I know too many people and I'm like, oh, I don't want them to
I don't
think
wanna
that I'm
hurt-
betting
Yeah, that's
against
the
them.
Canadian coming out. She doesn't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yeah, she's too polite. We haven't come up with our own picks yet, so I probably shouldn't have called you out for being
That's okay.
for not answering. Unless
Who do
we're
you
ready.
guys think is going to win? Okay,
Who's
I'll
your
turn
pick? Throw it
the
out right
tables.
now.
Yeah, who's your pick?
I think it's going to be Corey and Sarah. I know they lost their first game today, but I think they're pretty good. I think it might be Corey
I'm
and
trying
Sarah.
to think who's in it. Actually, who's in
It
it?
goes to the list.
Yeah.
I think the ham boners are going to win it
You think?
again.
The hand boners are going
Hand
to win
boners?
it.
I'd love to see them win it again.
Hash
I
brown.
think
Yeah.
Hash brown ham.
I think that they're a great pair. I also think that the audience connects with them really well, and so anything that draws the audience in is good for
Mhm.
curling in general.
So I'm gonna go with the defending champs, Persinger and Plies.
Mm.
Defending national champs, Persinger and Plies.
Plies threatened to drown me last week, so.
Wait, yeah, I saw that on the Twitter today. What did he do?
Oh,
Can you tell that story?
I made
Yeah.
fun of him for something, and
Yeah.
he didn't
Yeah.
take it. It
He
was
took offense to
he
it.
took offense to it. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was some joke about the Iron Range and him, like how he would have waxed poetic about his time on the ice and how it was like a soulful experience. And it was John Cullen started the thread, and Polo started it, and then Cullen chimed in, and then I chimed in, and then Plies, knowing that he is going to see me and he's bigger than me,
Yeah.
told me he was going to drown me.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Because I said the same thing.
don't go in the hotel pool then.
Yeah.
Note to self. Yeah.
We got an Airbnb, so
Oh, there you
he's
go.
like, we
Even
don't
better.
have- we
Well,
don't have a pool.
don't go hot tub with Plies.
Yeah. Don't go.
So, that would be,
It has to
none of these teams would be a surprise really to me
Yeah,
though.
right.
Like, there's a lot of teams that are quite good,
Yeah, they're
and
all
it's mixed
fantastic.
doubles. Anything can happen.
I think the
So,
only
Mhm.
one that would be a surprise to me would be, was it Richardson or Chesky?
Richardson, Procheski.
Just because they're
Yeah.
so young. Like they.
Yeah.
It's not to say that they're not skilled. They're just young.
they are young.
But
I
mean,
think
they could.
I think
wax everybody.
Runan Sinclair is even more of an outside chance. Richie's face gets so red when he
Yeah,
sweeps.
Richie is old and out of shape. But
He's even older than me.
Yeah,
there you go.
his face gets a lot redder than you when he sweeps.
Yeah.
So
I don't sweep though.
that's right.
So I'm smarter than Richie.
Who's smarter now? Yeah.
All right, let's ask Liza some
All right.
questions.
Yep. These are the questions we normally ask. So it sounds like we already covered kind of how did you start curling? You jumped into it on Learn to Curl. And you
Hmm
moved to California because that makes a lot of sense.
I know it's so
So,
backwards
yeah.
for a Canadian, but I got to be honest with you though, I didn't like it at first.
Nice.
I hated it.
My friends forced me into buying a broom and signing up for a league, and I wanted nothing to do with it. But there were 3 of them and 1 of me, and they guilted me into it. It wasn't until I played my first Spiel that I kind of fell in love
Yeah,
with
the
it. Up to
Bonspiel's
that
always
point, I kind of
get
didn't
you.
see the point.
Bonspiel is where it's at.
Mhm.
Noobs, if you're
Yeah.
watching, go to a Bonspiel.
Yep.
Yeah,
All right.
it's so true.
Yeah. So other than your home club, which we'll assume is kind of SCCC now, what's your favorite club?
I get to Arizona a lot because of its proximity, and I love the people there. So Coyotes, it deserves a shout out. But I think Green Bay will always have a soft place in my heart. I've been to the Green
Wow.
Bay Women's Spiel a number of times,
Mhm.
and
All right.
that is a fun time.
I've
And
heard that's a
those
good
women
one.
are insane.
That too.
And I really, really love that Bonspiel. And I think I was on a team that was the C event winner one year. Maybe we were the runner up. I kind
Nice.
of don't remember, but it's a great
Yeah,
club.
See
I love
events
that
where
club.
it's at.
Green Bay Club.
Green Bay Club's a good spot.
What's the bar that's on the way back to the hotel? And Doozies.
And doozies. Well, the hotel is only like
Oh.
300 yards away.
Yeah.
Most
and
likely.
there's Doozy that's in the parking lot on the
Yeah.
way back. So
There's plenty of bars.
That's
right
a fun
there.
club.
Yeah. And
what's-
then I've played in Winnipeg at the Granite a few times, and that is probably the most beautiful club I've ever played at.
Okay.
What's your favorite spiel?
Ooh. I mean, I'm biased. I think the Hollywood one is a ton of fun, but I was the Spiel chair of that one, so I feel like that's
talking the
not a
Blockbuster
valid
Spiel?
answer.
The
Yeah, the
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster.
Okay.
But I would say the Madison Halloween Spiel is probably the one I had the very most fun at.
Good
Good.
answer.
Besides
answer.
charity spiels.
Charity spiels are on a level all their own. They're
Yeah.
that's
They
like
are.
a-
They're kind of their own category.
It's
I also really
Well-
like have you guys ever heard of the spring training one in Arizona?
No.
That one's
No.
really fun because everybody goes to a spring training baseball game together, and it's a really fun time for that reason because you get to go hang out and drink beer and get rowdy at a baseball stadium in the middle of your Bonspiel.
Mhm.
I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I like that idea.
I bet I could throw
Yeah.
my golf clubs in too and sneak around the golf in.
100%. We
No?
went to
Alright.
we went to Top Golf the last time I went to the spring training one, which was like 2 weeks before COVID hit. And we went to Top Golf for an afternoon and
That would be fun.
had a grand old time.
Got it.
That's code for we got really wasted.
Yeah, we figured
In
that
case
out.
you
We
didn't
were
read
gonna,
between the
Yeah.
we're gonna
lines.
let you off the
No,
hook.
no,
but-
I hear you.
Nice. All right. Setting money aside, have you won? Well, have you won money at a Bonspiel? You're not. We have competitive players on a lot. Otherwise, what's anything odd or weird.
Well,
thing
you're
on the
assuming that means that I win
Have you ever
very
won?
often.
Have you ever
It
won a
kind of
Monster?
requires
Or-
you to win
Yeah.
some games in
I
order
know,
to win
I
something
probably
at a
won
Spiel.
some.
Is
Probably
there
won a
anything-
sweet pin at
Any,
the Green Bay
ra-
ladies? sea
Any
event.
weird
did, yes.
raffle prize you've come home with?
Yeah. Ooh, yeah. Raffle prize.
I won a Cornish game hen and
That's
some
a-
gravy packets.
Alive or
once.
dead?
Live or dead?
Like frozen.
Oh,
Like frozen.
That's a
Mm.
cool
So I'm-
prize.
That's
That's
not
off the
bad.
wall. I
so
like
I'm
it.
going to assume
Yeah.
dead.
I was just gonna. That's like going to a meat raffle.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very similar. It was like it was sort of a
Nice.
turkey shootout, and they had a giant like 25-pound turkey in the middle, and then
Uh-huh.
Cornish game hens and smaller turkeys around the rink. And
Like
you
it.
could you had to throw from the corners,
Mhm.
so not from the typical hack positions,
Right.
but from the corners of the
Mhm.
rink, and you could knock each other out of the way. And when everybody was all said and done, the stones that were closest to the birds got to take them home.
You
Sounds
got a
great.
Cornish game hen.
I got a Cornish game hen.
Was it good?
Fantastic.
Sure, I don't remember. I think so.
I've never had it. I don't think.
Yeah.
Like it's something
Game
I've
hen's
always
good.
been intrigued by
I've had
eating,
Cornish game hen.
and I've
It's delicious.
like never seen it.
Tastes like chicken.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a teeny tiny little chicken. It's
Yeah.
like this big.
What skill or talent outside of curling do you have that people should know about?
Oh, I am a master Pilates educator, and I teach other people how to be Pilates teachers. And I
Is there
work a
belt that
lot
goes along
with.
that?
Huh?
What's
Is there
that?
a belt? Is there a belt that goes along with that?
No,
Master?
no, I would really love it if
Oh.
there was though. But I do a lot of rehab work with my clients, people coming back from injuries and things like that. And I swear to God, I'm going to go back and do my master's and write my paper on curling and Pilates and why I think that they are the perfect combination for each other for those folks that are looking for some way to cross train and become better curlers. I found Pilates because I wanted to get better at curling, and I became a Pilates instructor because I was already a decent curling instructor. I knew how to teach people. I loved teaching people. And so one thing led to another, and I've been doing that for about 6.5 years.
Nice.
Huh. Well, that's a great segue into the next
Mhm.
question. Since you are a excellent teacher of curling, what advice do you give curlers looking to improve their game?
That's a really great question. Don't be afraid to lose a lot of games. Go curl in places, go curl in tournaments, go curl against people who are way better than you, and just kind of expect to get your butt kicked a little bit and use it as a learning opportunity. Like, learn from them, meet those people, go curl on teams with people who are far more experienced than you, and just be a sponge, absorb everything that you can, and be okay with losing for the first little while, because eventually that'll turn into winning. But if you can surround yourself with people who are way better than you, you'll kind of, reverse osmosis, absorb a lot more than you think.
Nice.
I've had a lot of learning experiences.
Tons.
Tons.
So much.
They don't stick though.
So much learning.
Nothing really sticks.
I would think you
So
would
much
know
learning.
harder.
All right, so you're going to a Bonspiel to lose or win, whatever. Where are you going? And then who's going to be on your team? What's your ideal team? You can take
Alive, dead.
Yeah, alive, dead, famous curlers, not famous people, whoever. You can pick anyone. We've also allowed people to have 4, 5, 6 person teams, however many you want.
So you guys kind of sent me this question in advance, and I've agonized over it all day because, like,
People
how
do.
does anybody
It's a hard question.
decide?
It is.
So many
How do you
answers that are all
decide?
right.
Okay, so in terms of where I would go, I would love to do like an outdoor spiel somewhere in Europe. I know I've seen ones in Italy and Switzerland. Like, give me any of those. That sounds like a ton of fun. I do want to do that at some point in my life. That's on my bucket list. In terms of who I would curl with, okay. The easy answer was Sandra Schmerler.
Ooh,
I
answer.
grew up watching her. I was a teenager in the 90s, and I remember watching her at the Nagano Olympics in Japan. And it's funny because I consider myself to be good friends with Mike Harris now, but I don't remember him curling in those Olympics because all I cared about was women's curling. And the fact that that has stuck with me for 23 years says a lot. But I loved Sandra Schmerler. I thought she was just the bee's knees. I thought she was an amazing human
That's a
being.
great
And
answer.
I wish
Great
she was
answer.
still alive
far.
to.
So far, so good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So Sandra Schmerler would definitely be one of them. Cindy Wood, who is one of my best curling friends on this earth. She and I travel
episode
all over
2
the
or 3?
country and get into
Last
all
season?
sorts of trouble together.
Yeah, she was on the
What's that?
podcast last year.
Yeah.
I don't
She
remember the
was of
episode. We can link
sensational
it.
curling.
Yes.
Yes, you guys interviewed her.
Mhm.
She is one of my very best friends in the world. And when we go to Spiels or to the Grand Slams or wherever we end up, we get into way too much trouble together. And so it wouldn't be a Bonspiel if I
That's a
didn't
good
have my
answer because
partner in crime.
we had her on and we talked about Bonspiels.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
far, so
Yeah.
good.
Mhm.
Schmerler.
All right.
Cindy Wood.
All right. So those two. How do you decide for anything beyond that? I mean, Dave Nedowin, maybe?
Oh, he's
Because,
handsome.
like, who doesn't love Dave Nedowin?
He's pretty handsome.
Mhm.
Handsome.
He's a really nice guy.
He's a really nice
He's
guy.
good looking.
Pretty handsome.
He's got that feathered hair. It's just
He's
There's
a
about
half decent curler.
There's about a 5-year stretch where he never missed a shot. I don't think.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think he
But
would
he's-
probably be on my list.
But he can also still make a few if he needed him.
Yeah.
He probably could.
Anyone else? You want to take like a bartender or a fifth in case, Cindy overserves herself some night?
Or Dave.
She would
Or Dave,
never do
yeah.
that.
Dave.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then I think I would have to go with somebody like that is not a curler at all. Oh, I don't know.
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop.
No, I don't think Snoop Dogg is quite my speed, but probably like, I don't know. I don't know. How does anybody decide these things?
I don't know. That's a pretty good team.
That's
You
a
probably
good
don't
team.
need to
You
take
don't
it.
have to have a fifth player.
Mhm.
I mean, you got a
Like,
fun team.
If
got a
you were
good
to
team
Cindy
there.
can't answer the bell because you've overserved yourself, like Dave Nedowin and Sandra Schmerler throwing 3 rocks at the
They
beach
could
is a
probably
pretty
pick it up.
decent
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'd be pretty good, I think.
I think that you might have the best team of anybody who's picked a team so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, probably so
Mhm.
far.
Because most people
All
have
right.
only haven't picked more than
One curler.
like one
curler.
other curler.
Yeah.
So you've got
Yeah.
4 curlers on your
You
team.
got-
Well, I did my homework and I drove home going, how am I going to answer this question?
Oh, wow. I'm glad.
That's
we
why-
have one
that's
good
why we asked
question
it,
that
'cause it
Peg
can
and
go
I
anywhere.
somewhere.
Yeah.
All right, this is my favorite one. If you have a walk-up song when you're curling, you're familiar with the baseball. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, parlance.
Yep.
Walking up. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, walk-up song would be Virtual Insanity by Jamiroquai.
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
I
Just
can
keep
see
people
that.
on their
Mhm.
toes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Jamiroquai. That's great.
This is a big
Mhm.
song back in the day.
It was a big
It
song.
was
Yeah.
big song.
94?
No, it's
Ooh.
later
No?
than that.
I think it's
Was
later
it?
than that.
No,
86.
I think he's right. I
94,
think he's
really?
right. It was
Really?
Yeah, I
mid-90s.
don't know.
Really?
Mid-90s for sure.
Music video is
Mhm.
pretty bananas.
Oh.
All right.
I remember that. I remember the music video, and I remember watching it in Marcia Gauthier's basement. So that would have been like 94,
Gauthier. That's a
Mm.
very Canadian
Dang.
name.
All right.
isn't it?
I don't think I know any Gauthiers in the
Oh,
United
that's
States
pretty bad.
unless they moved from Canada.
no, it's on Traveling Without Moving, which came out in 1996. It says so.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's all
There
right.
you go.
Whatever. It's all right.
There you
Anyway,
go.
I was close.
Normally we, if we got somebody famous on, we allow. Not to say that you're not famous, but we allow them to.
She's a
I'm
mention any
famous
sponsors.
adjacent. I know a lot of famous people, but
I
I am
believe
not
that.
famous.
All right,
myself.
so let's just
Yeah.
stop. Let's name drop. Pick your favorite famous person. They don't have to be the most famous, but pick your
like
Or
that
you're a
I
curler.
that I know or that
Yeah.
I've met
Yeah,
or
that you
just like
hobnob-
in
that you
general.
hobnob with.
Mhm.
Like you could.
that you know.
You're in Hollywood. You're a big deal now.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
pick one famous person. Say I like this person best. The rest of them suck.
Uh,
You don't have to say that. but-
so
I better
so
answer
my-
her husband.
No. He's not my favorite. Are you kidding me? And I can say that because I know he'll listen to the first 5 minutes of this, and then he'll be like, "It was great. You did great. It sounded so good." He won't listen to the end of the podcast.
Fine.
There's
Great.
no way.
Awesome.
And if he does, I'm going to hear about it later. But he became friends with, a few years ago, Scott Kelly, Mark Kelly, who is he's the current governor of Arizona, but he was an astronaut that went up on the International Space Station. He's married to Gabby Giffords. And a number of years ago, we became friends with them because he's a huge fan of Game of Thrones. And my husband famously worked on Game of Thrones. And so we have been to Belfast with them and to Arizona and New York with them. And I don't mind name dropping them because they are wonderful human beings.
Well,
They're really, really
good.
good.
I like it.
Cool.
Yeah, that's a great answer.
Do you have any sponsors that you want to mention?
Well, the Curling Center certainly does.
Great.
Steve's Curling Supplies has been really good to us, and so has Goldline. We couldn't have opened without their help, for sure. And then ISS has been really great. DMP Printing does all of our merchandise, and we have some really great stuff in our store. And Mike, I promise you, I've got a hat coming out to you, but we sold out of the color that you loved.
All right.
So I'm working
I'll
on it.
wait.
I'm getting them reordered for you.
I can wait. No problem.
These are the
Send it with a curling and tacos shirt if you got one.
These are the SoCal?
Yeah.
What?
I asked Liza if she would
Yeah.
send me a SoCal hat because they're pretty sweet.
Yeah. He said, I
And
want one like John
I want-
Schuster
yeah,
You
has.
can
blue one.
find them at this address.
Yeah.
And then we'll
At
put the address on-
curling.la.
Oh, there you go.
If you
Oh,
go to
we'll make sure to-
curling.la.
We'll make sure to link them. We'll put a link in the description. But all right.
Thank you very
Thanks
much.
for having me,
being
you
here.
guys.
You did great.
I hope I didn't bore everybody with my big words that
No.
y'all couldn't
No.
understand.
No, it was just for
No.
a couple
Some
seconds.
people
for
probably
Yeah,
got
we like
smarter,
big words
yeah.
every once in a
It
while.
was an educational episode.
Yeah.
Look
Someday
it up.
we'll
I
have you
certainly
back.
have gotten into my fair share of trouble with you guys at Bonspiels, and I'm very
What?
excited for that.
Oh,
to,
sorry, Liza, we're losing you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
You're breaking up.
Sorry, you're going
breaking
through a
up.
tunnel.
No, the worst.
Yeah, we're going through a tunnel.
The
Sorry.
worst part is I told Liza that once they got dedicated ice, I would come out to LA. So now my paycheck.
That's the
My
worst
pocket-
part?
No.
Excuse me.
No, the worst part is now my pocketbook is on the hook for
Oh,
my
yeah.
words in the past.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, for
Well,
sure.
You've
For
said
sure.
stupider and more expensive things both.
yeah, that's also true. So
Yeah.
Let's
I feel like I've
Let's
been
have
I've
another
been out
kid.
to your clubs, so now you all have to come out to mine.
yeah, it's only fair. All right.
That's
well,
fair.
we appreciate you joining. We'll love to have you on again. Best of luck with Hollywood stuff.
Thank you.
And
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers.
Happy curling.
Thanks for tuning in. Thank you to Liza Beres from the Southern California Curling Center. That is our episode for tonight. If you would like to follow us on Twitter or the Facebook at curlingnation.com or at curlingnation.
At curlingnation, no.com.
No.com. At curlingnation.
At curlingnation.
At Curling Nation. That's where you can find us. Mike, Joel, myself, Craig, missing Garrett, signing off. Thank you very much for watching.
Hit like and subscribe on
Hit
YouTube.
like and subscribe. Oh yeah, you can watch us on YouTube,
Uh,
or you can just listen to us.
You can listen to us on Spotify.
This is the first
Apple.
time I've ever done the closing, so they have to
Yeah.
do this for me.
There's
stinks.
There's a
You
video-
stink. I can smell
There's
you.
a
I'm sitting
video
right next
podcast.
to you.
Didn't do anything.
There's also a video podcast on Apple and other podcast catchers as well as just audio if you want that.
I'm not going to do the closing anymore. Thanks for watching or listening or however you got this form of entertainment.
Nailed it.